Hey, this is Warren Redlick with the AI stocks report for May 14th. Some good news, some bad news. The AI stocks report index was up 1%. You see ASML, Google, Tesla, Nvidia all up significantly. Palantir getting whacked in the stock market. We'll dive into all of that. We've got the AI stock buzz. We've got some AI news. We've got an analyst watch report. We've got some news about Google. We've got some news about Anthropic, news about Anduril, and as usual, some insight, hopefully, that you'll appreciate. Are you ready? Let's go. Before we dive into all of that, just really quick mention my options specials are available for paying supporters, YouTube channel members, ex subscribers, and Patreon supporters. The latest video is up today. There's a big options trade I want to tell you about. I've expanded my analysis of my metric for analyzing long-term call options. It's really meaningful. I think it's useful for understanding a lot of the stocks and thinking long-term, whether you're buying options or not. I think it's a way of thinking about long-term investing and understanding how these options prices work, give you a hint of what's going on with some of these companies. Regarding stock buzz, ASML closed up about 4%, surging on sustained AI chip demand and a strong equipment order backlog, benefited from broader semiconductor rally as investors position for continued data center and AI infrastructure spending. ASML is a core holding. If you are an AI stocks investor, it makes complete sense to own ASML if you're banking on an AI future. I am going to be working on a video about systemic risk for AI stocks, and ASML is at the core of those systemic risks. ASML, Zeiss Optics, Nvidia, TSMC, there's certain companies that are so core to the AI revolution that they actually create systemic risk. And there's one company in particular that might have some insulation from that systemic risk when you talk about their growth story. So that's coming probably on Saturday's video. Google closed at almost $400 a share, again, also up almost about 4%. Good news for Google. They have Google I/O coming. There's some news I'm going to tell you about Google in a few minutes. A lot of good things happening with Google that drove this increase. Gemini, AI infrastructure, cloud growth, TPUs. There's all kinds of good things happening with Google. I think it might be the most underrated of the AI stocks. The biggest loser was Palantir, AMD also giving back some. Palantir pulled back after its recent strong Q1 beat. This is one of these weird things with AMD up so much after a big earnings report, Palantir down so much after a big earnings report. Both of these companies are highly relevant to my options video. When I talk about the options metric, what's going on with AMD and Palantir, what's going on with Google, Nvidia, TSMC in particular, the way those companies look on the options metric is very interesting. So I would encourage you to check out my options video and see if that is helpful. In AI news, Google has this Google I/O event coming up. In advance of that, they unveiled the Google Book. Now, this got a lot of attention in the media. It's a new laptop built up from the ground up for Gemini intelligence. I read the blog post. I did my best to figure out what's going on here, and I felt like this was fluff news. Like, do you have something here or not? What are the specs? Is this really going to run edge compute? They're talking about this running on Android. I don't think Android has enough. Most Android devices have enough compute to be able to do meaningful edge inference compute. We'll see. What are they going to do here? I think we're going to learn more about this at Google I/O, and it's potentially very interesting because if you're able to deliver meaningful edge inference compute on a laptop and then maybe later on a phone, that could be a game changer for society. That if you can actually get that useful level of compute that local, I'm not convinced of that. I think that generally speaking, we want the best intelligence available, and that's going to be on the web. That's not going to be on an edge inference device. If you're doing robots, edge inference makes sense. I'm not sure how this is going to play out, so it's going to be interesting to see that. Another big piece of news that's related to Google is Isomorphic Labs, which is headed at least loosely by Demis Hassabis, who is the head of Google DeepMind, one of their leading AI thinker, and he's got a great team. And they've got this sort of spin-off, I guess. I don't know if it's really a spin-off, but he's got a startup that Alphabet is supporting, that Google is supporting, and they've got a lot of funding, and they raised $2.1 billion in a Series B funding round to scale its AI drug design platform. Demis Hassabis, his team developed AlphaGo. They developed AlphaFold. They've done some really revolutionary things with AI. So hopefully they have the potential to deliver meaningful AI improvements in healthcare, in drugs that can, they're hoping to cure all human diseases. I think that's what, turn the impossible into late, right? That's Elon's motto with SpaceX and maybe they don't achieve everything they're going for, but aim big and maybe you get some of it. So very exciting to see this. We can't invest in it. It's not an investing thing at this point. But this company could at some point come to an IPO and we may get access to it. So it's very exciting to see it. I'm a huge fan of Demis Hassabis. Even though I think the fact that he's with Google is a real positive sign for Google. What he's doing in general is great for the world, great for humanity, and hopefully they deliver that with Gemini as well, and Google benefits. More AI news. Anthropic is in advanced talks to raise at least $30 billion at a valuation exceeding $900 billion. A funding round, would be one of the largest private AI raises to date and reflects continued strong investor appetite for frontier model developers. Related to this is normally part of my PodWatch segment, but the CFO of Anthropic appeared on a podcast here with Patrick O'Shaughnessy. He talked a lot about what's going on. I thought the timing was odd. You're working on a funding round and now your CFO is out there doing a podcast. And honestly, I listened to the first 15 minutes. In the first 10 minutes, my bullshit meter was going off like crazy. He's talked about, he claimed they're the most efficient users of compute in the AI world. That's a stretch. He claimed that they have to balance their compute use between training and inference compute for consumers and in-house use. And they have Nvidia GPUs and they have Google TPUs and they have Trainium from Amazon Web Services, ASICs. And he talked about like you're using the Nvidia GPUs for training primarily. You're using the other two for inference compute primarily. The Nvidia GPUs are more optimized for training. The other ones are more optimized for inference. I'm not saying I'm right about all of it, but he was setting off my bullshit meter. And I would encourage you to watch this. It's worth watching anyway, whether you think he's BS or not. It's worth watching. This is one of the CFO of one of the most important AI companies in the world. And I'm going to finish watching that video. I try to watch all this stuff if I can, but just a little bit like fuzzy on that one. So that's significant AI news for you. Turning to our analyst watch section, we have three significant analyst ratings. The first two are Nvidia getting its price target raised by both Bank of America and Wells Fargo. These are core members of the analyst community, and they're both raising their price targets to $320 from $300 for Bank of America, to $315 from $265 for Wells Fargo. Nvidia currently trading at $225 a share, so these are big expectations for the company to go up. Price earnings ratio is only 46. You're going to see AMD in a minute. AMD's price earnings ratio is like 146. Bank of America cited a significantly larger long-term AI data center opportunity, accelerating AI infrastructure demand, NVIDIA's strong positioning to capture a leading share of the build-out. Wells Fargo also pointed to robust AI-driven demand. Notice the stock remains attractive relative to its long-term growth prospects. That is exactly my point. Look at this price earnings ratio. This company's growing like crazy. Price earnings ratio is only 46. Again, my options report is highly relevant to this stuff. Bank of America raised its price target on AMD, price target to $500 from $450. AMD's trading around $445, so $450 was looking a little thin. It's interesting that the buzz is highlighted AMD's improving competitive position in AI accelerators, growing traction, and potential to capture additional share. You can't, on the one hand, say that NVIDIA is going to capture the lion's share of the growth, and then AMD is going to take share. And my take on it is, look, NVIDIA makes 10 times as many chips as AMD. If the market grows 50% and NVIDIA grows 50%, how much room does that leave for AMD to grow? Like AMD is going to grow 50%. Maybe they double, but they could double and still be trivial compared to NVIDIA. And I just don't think how likely is it that AMD is going to grow that much? Can they execute? Can they get the chips out? Can they get access to the fabs to make the volume of chips they need in order to double their share, their volume of chips? Huge problems for AMD to execute at this level with this high price earnings ratio. And I watched an interview with the CEO or some dialogue with the CEO. I felt like she was not as I'm not trying to come down on her. I didn't feel like she gives as much information. I didn't feel she was as genuine. I didn't feel like we're learning as much from her about the business as we do from Jensen Huang or from Elon or some of the other CEOs when they do interviews. I felt like there was something missing there, like she's holding back. And fundamentally, this company has an execution risk. That's the biggest challenge with AMD. There's other risks. There's systemic risks to all the companies, but for AMD in particular, there's a massive execution risk. Can you execute? Can you increase your output of these chips? because they're in demand. They make good chips. Nothing, no shade on them, especially for inference and to a large. They make CPUs that are critical for this process, but can they really scale as needed to justify the growth valuation, the growth expectations that go underlie this valuation they've got? And again, highly relevant to my options video. What's going on with AMD is highly relevant. But it's one of the standouts for my metric of something looks interesting here. So please join the YouTube channel. Please become an X subscriber. Please support me on Patreon. Get access to these videos so you understand that better. One other piece of news, again, sort of in the category of like Isomorphic Labs, Anduril, which is a pre-IPO company, announced a $5 billion Series H raise. Their company valuation is $61 billion. This is a company that uses autonomy and AI in defense projects. And I don't know if there's a plan to go public anytime soon. I don't know how much information we can get about their products because there's, defense secrets, but really interesting to see this. And this is sort of on the application layer of what's going on in the AI world, because you have, the supply chain to build the AI, you have the chips, you have the frontier models, and then you have some specialized real world AI models with Tesla and Anduril, and you have real world applications with Palantir and some others. I don't know about you guys, but I'm having a lot of fun with this. Please like this video, share, and subscribe. Please consider supporting me as a YouTube channel member, as an X subscriber, as a Patreon supporter to get access to the options videos, and just because you like what I'm doing. And let me know what you think. I'm getting a lot of negative dislikes on my YouTube videos in particular compared to what I'm used to. I'm not getting the view count that I expected because this is a pivot. So let me know what you think. A lot of people are saying, hey, Warren, we like when you talk about Tesla and SpaceX. We don't like it as much when you talk about these AI companies. That's inevitable with a pivot when you do a content pivot. I hope that you're appreciating this. I hope I'm adding value and insight. Please let me know what you think in the comments on X, reply on X, or comments on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching.